ॐ आदिष्टवान् यथा स्वप्ने रामरक्षामिमां हरः तथा लिखितवान् प्रातः प्रबुद्धौ बुधकौशिकः. Ravana did his best to avoid war with Rama. When it was inevitable, he first sent his trusted lieutenants. Their death did not deter him. One by one, he lost his brothers and sons. He would cry at their death, but it was temporary. If someone was ready to go to battlefield, he would happily send them. He himself went directly only once, where he was defeated and sent back by Rama. When every major warrior was dead, Ravana had no choice. By then, the people of Lanka had begun to curse everyone from Shurpanaka to Ravana for their losses. There was a long list of people in Lanka who died fighting for their king. The war, which most people in Lanka initially thought was a no-gamer, had robbed the entire city of its young people. So Ravana goes to the battlefield as a man who had lost his entire family and most of his countrymen. Then what was he fighting for? Pride? In what? There seems to be no real reason why he had to continue the war. If he had won, which was highly impossible, what would he achieve? Sita would never accept him, come what may. If Rama was gone, there was no way she would be alive. So what was Ravana's intention? Ravana was already defeated when he came for his final war with Rama. There was nothing more for him to lose, or nothing more to gain from this war. It was a mindless fight he was engaging with Rama. It was not bravery, it was foolishness of Ravana. There are two popular myths regarding Ravana's death. One is that Rama was riding on Hanumanta's shoulder during the final war. That is not found in Valmiki's Ramayana. Here, Indra sends his chariot along with its Sarathi, Matali, to help Rama. Rama accepts this help from Indra and continues the battle. In the middle of this battle, sage Agastya comes and explains the famous Aditya Hridaya Stotra to Rama. This is one rare instance in Ramayana where a direct stotra is recited. Apart from this, the Brahma's praise of Rama at the end is another instance of direct stotra. Another myth in this episode is regarding the Amrita Kumbha in Ravana's heart. That too is not found in Valmiki's version. Instead, here we find Ravana's head being chopped off by Rama 100 times. Every time a new head would reappear. It was then Matali who suggests that Rama apply Brahmastra. That powerful weapon finally brings down Ravana. After Ravana's death, Vibhishana does not agree to perform his brother's last rites. Ravana says it's not right and goes on to say it is normal for Rakshasas to behave in the way Ravana acted and Vibhishana is an exception. He further says that Ravana is like a brother to him and he does not carry the enmity after enemy's death. So how do we remember Ravana? He was born in a pious family. He learned the Vedas and Shastras. was good in music and literature. He was a good king. But how did he get that kingdom? Lanka was created and ruled by Kubera, who was Ravana's stepbrother. Ravana forcefully took the kingdom and Pushpaka Vimana from his brother. So much for his bravery. So, his list of crimes started from this episode. It went long and included misdeeds of all kinds. He was uncontrollable due to his strength and boons from Brahma. So, those whom he underestimated had to strike him strong. Lanka represented a civilization immersed in enjoyment without limit. No rules applied here. King himself showed the way for others to follow. So Ravana had to be challenged and won over by Dharma. Otherwise, it would send a wrong message that one can choose any path to gain wealth and enjoyment. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यां परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महिं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु।